So this morning, you and I went to go take care of some business, and we got some really great help, honestly. But word got around in this place that we went that we work with creators, right? And so, of course, I had to give most of the credit to you, Benji. And so at the end of that discussion, the person that we were working with asked us what we do, and I had to defer to you because of that. So you kind of explained that we're starting this company where we help creators take care of the business side of the industry. And then, of course, this person started getting really curious about it. And it became clear that they had some interest in being a creator, which started to make more and more sense. And so they told us that they post mostly short form content and kind of inconsistently. And you encourage them to ask you kind of anything about that and as it relates to creators. And so that question basically was, how do I find success as someone who wants to get started? How do I kind of get to the level that you're at? How do I kind of like get to the direction where I might be someone that you want to work with in a business like the one you're starting? And the answer that you had 3 points. The first one, tell me if I'm wrong about this. The first one was double down on the platform that you choose.
Number one was consistency. The importance of consistency.
Well, why don't you tell us the 3 points then?
Yeah, and to give context, this person has a day job, right, at this business, was helping us, but was not in any way related to creator stuff. Just through the conversation, they overheard that we work with creators. I'm starting this agency. And so they wanted advice. And so I always kind of pick their brain, ask them why they're doing it, what it is that they want to create. And so this person asked us for the advice. And the 3 things I said was, number one, you need to find a way to be able to be consistent, whatever that is. So once a week, twice a week, in some cases, once a day, if you're doing short form, there's no rule here. Obviously, if you're going to do more, you're more likely to succeed, more chances to go viral. But it doesn't matter because everybody's in a different place in their life. I said, you just have to figure out how can you schedule it? How can you build it into your calendar? How can you commit to this consistency? Because almost all successful creators that I know, the most successful, started with consistency as one of the reasons they succeeded. Secondly, I said you need to find the platform that works for you. Obviously, I'm biased to YouTube, but maybe more so than ever, what's crazy, in 2026, I think you can find success on all platforms. That's always been the case, but including with long form content. TikTok, is extending the length of the videos. Live streaming is being offered everywhere. I'm even seeing on Facebook, my vlogs are getting lots of views. But it doesn't actually matter which one is the best, which one's trendy, whatever one you like to use. And this person, they said Instagram's the place. I was like, you need to just commit to that. A lot of coaches say, oh, you got to upload everywhere. I mean, even Gary Vaynerchuk, I look up to him. I respect him. I listen to him. He would say, you got to upload as much as you can. I'm very practical in my advice. So I said, find the platform that you can be consistent on, that you already love to use, regardless of what somebody else tells you, because you're more likely to understand that platform and the type of content that works there, and you're already using it. So you might as well upload content versus if this person's like, like maybe it's for business and they go to LinkedIn, right? Context matters, but that was my second piece of advice. Find the platform that you're already passionate about, that you want to share your passion onto. The third thing was you need to still pick a direction. What's funny is this person, they told us what they're into. They told us they're into lifestyle, travel stuff. They're into beauty, right? And then they did mention like gym content and working out, but it kind of sounded like the least interested one. Of course, there's a lot of assumptions like beauty, there's a lot of opportunity there, lifestyle, everybody wants to travel and get, their first class tickets paid for. But I said, in this new age where so much of our content consumption is based off of what we're interested in, not on who we're subscribed to, algorithms love it because it helps you get discovered by the right people and they know where to point you. That's what I said. You need to pick a theme for your channel, right? Yeah. On YouTube, theme for your Instagram, a theme for whatever the platform is, and know that you can include those other things that you're interested in. So I said, hey, if you're if you want to go the direction of travel, Well, part of traveling is getting dolled up, doing makeup or doing the hair. So it can be part of it, but it doesn't have to be its own thing.
Yeah.
It can be under the umbrella. So I asked her, right? Hey, which one of the things that you talked about? Maybe there's one that you secretly love, right? And that was another aspect of my advice. The thing that you may be embarrassed about, but you spend the most time doing or, like looking forward to on the weekend, that's probably the thing you should pick. So I said, with that context, which one would you pick? And say, oh, gym content for sure. It wasn't even hesitation. So it was even not what I thought, right, of this person in terms of like the way she talked about it. So that's a good example. It's like, yeah, maybe she feels like it could be like, what do you call it? Like imposter syndrome or something if she were to do it for whatever reason. Okay. I said, there you go. So your gym content is going to be the theme of your Instagram profile. But you can still include beauty, right? You can still include travel because when I travel, I always work out at the gym. In fact, I like going to hotel gyms because oftentimes they're empty. That's a great place to make content and make it kind of different than everybody else who only creates content at that one gym. And then on the beauty side, it was just funny. We were talking about how like some people literally put on their makeup to go to the gym.
Yeah.
I was like, that's content that makes sense because it's relatable. But it doesn't have to overtake the theme of your Instagram profile or, in the case for me, the theme of your channel. It's just part of what makes you human.
Yeah.
It's part of your personality, your unique traits. So 3 things I said to her. This is off the cuff without really knowing who this person is. They just said, hey, I heard you do something with creators. And it's just crazy how often this happens, by the way. And I told them, be consistent in your content, whatever that is, once a week, once a day. Find a way to keep that consistency up as long as possible. Number 2, you need to pick a platform that you're going to focus on. Obviously, it's nice if you can go multi-platform, but pick the one that's your number one. No matter what, you're going to get stuff uploaded to it. And then the third one, and then picking that platform based off of what you already use and familiar with. Third one is you do want to have a direction for your content so that people can easily define what you do. And it's not really for the people as much as it is for the algorithm to help get discovered. But splash your content with these other niches. One of the mistakes people make is they try to be all those niches, right? And you don't know, like if you were to compare each video, which one they are, having that overarching theme, the umbrella of your channel, really powerful for building your brand. You don't have to be that forever either. People feel like it's like a life and death decision. It's not. So those are the 3 things I mentioned to this person about how to be successful as a creator.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about this year is that you and I have kind of branched out from the original thing that we started our journey on, which is Vlogging Academy, right? The whole idea a couple of years ago when we started doing Vlogging Academy to teach people how to vlog the new way was, hey, YouTube is having a moment, which by the way, it still is. We're going to talk about that a lot in this show. But YouTube is having this moment. Vlogging is having a moment because of that. And you can take advantage of this huge opportunity by vlogging in this particular way. But those same principles that you use to establish Vlogging Academy, those 3 things that you said that are kind of related to the things that we talk about in Vlogging Academy, are now more and more applicable to all surface area across the entire creator economy. So one that you talk about is Instagram. This person said that they cared way more about Instagram than they did about TikTok, for example, or they cared way more about Instagram than they did about YouTube, for example. But also the difference between doing something like a live stream, which you're now doing live streams that are much more like vlogging using the new vlogging method principles, versus doing an old-fashioned chop it up type of vlog. And so those things are all there. By the way, if you want to learn more about the new vlogging method, you can check out the link in the description or go to vloggingacademy.com. But there was a couple things in there that to me really stood out. The first one was that idea of consistency, because she had asked you at the very beginning, her one question to you really was actually, how many times a day should I post? How many times should I post? And your answer, I think, was extremely wise and is deeply aligned with what we teach at Vlogging Academy, which is post as much as you can, right?
Yes.
If you're going to be doing it consistently. And the thing that you specifically said is if you're going to post once a week, well, then post every single week, once a week, rather than posting like 3 times in 1 week and then not posting for a long time.
What I used to say, and I wrote this in YouTube Secrets with Sean Cannell about consistency. It's probably still in that chapter. Consistency is you need to think about the long term versus obsess about the short term. It's better to be once a week for 52 weeks for a whole year than to do 30 days straight, burn out, and not want to do it at all. Now, I actually think 30 days straight is powerful no matter what type of content. You're going to learn a lot. But more often than not, you might not even make it to 30.
Yeah.
You'll like quit because it's so difficult. Once a week, totally doable. It's practical. Of course, we all want to succeed faster. Yeah. What I've seen from observing many people is that 30 days, though funny enough in Vlogging Academy, guess what? I teach you how to do that.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you want to learn how to do that practically in an easy way, Vlogging Academy, we teach that. But if I'm just talking to somebody that maybe doesn't even care about the course, or maybe, again, I don't know anything about their life or their schedule and their circumstance and how busy they are, once a week for a whole year, because that learning effect week to week to week is so powerful, and you're going to grow. Like it's hard to grow as much in 30 days as you would in 52 weeks. Because guess what happens between that time? You're like thinking about your next video. You're giving time to yourself to prepare for that next video.
It's marinating.
It's marinating, right? And then you get to see that video and how it performs and ask your question and contemplate. So in addition to it being more realistic for people, also you need that for that growth. Versus if you go from day to day, you don't even have time to breathe.
Yeah.
This is just purely a kind of exercise in sprinting, and you do learn a lot, but you don't get to, like you said, marinate on your results. You don't get to contemplate, and you don't get to grow the same way. I think there's a limitation. Just like, I teach Taekwondo. It's a martial arts. It can be, high performance. It can be like extreme athleticism. If I burn myself out in 30 days, I'm probably in pretty good shape, but I'm probably also really tired.
Yeah.
Now, if I just practice once a week for 52 weeks, I'm definitely not going to be in as good of a shape, especially depending on what I do between the two, but I would definitely learn a lot more.
And it's also more likely that you're going to do it for the next 52 weeks.
Exactly. And that is why consistency at your own pace is more important than any arbitrary consistency. And that doesn't matter what type of content it is. But you know what you'll find? Almost always you'll start doing twice a week, right? So after the first month, you're like, hey, this ain't that bad. And now I'm getting better at editing. Now I'm getting better at, understanding the ideas at work. I was talking to her about John Cortese, right?
Yeah.
John Cortese is a local Seattle creator. And I can see, like, when I walk up to him at Pike Place Market, it's like our little marketplace in downtown, I can see his brain working on an idea. He's looking at something. He's like, this would be a good TikTok. He got that instinct and that vision from being consistent over time and doing it a lot too, to be fair, right? So it's hard to get that in 30 days.
Yeah.
Way easier to get that maybe in like 1 to 3 months. And then once you have that ability and you're better at creating content, like editing, then you could do 2 a week and 3 a week, and then just on and on and on. And I think that's really a story of my wife, because in the beginning, she never would have thought of doing once a day. And 3 years later, not only was she doing once a week on her main channel, she was doing once a day. So seven vlogs in 1 week, one a day, on her secondary channel. And she did both of those for like
wild.
5 years.
I mean, that's the timeless advice, right? The idea of that consistency. And I think more and more, this next piece of advice that you gave her ebbs and flows, because for a while at the very beginning of YouTube, it was kind of all over the place, right? There was a lot of personality driven stuff. There were still things that were topical, like channels were known for doing a specific thing. But as kind of time marched on into the 2010s, more and more and more, the advice that you heard was niche down, niche down, niche down, get more specific, more specific, more specific. And when we started working on Vlogging Academy the first time, that was one of the things that stood out to me when you were talking to me, is you said, these people who niche down, a lot of them have kind of lost their souls along the way. They're so specific and they've cut out all of the personality that they don't even really like what they're doing anymore. Even if they liked this kind of, if it was gardening, right? They went so deep on this one very specific type of tomato that was getting tons of views that they forgot their love for all the other things that they were doing in their garden, right? And so you explained to her that instead of that, the thing that we teach at Vlogging Academy, one of the 3 T's of the new vlogging method, is to choose a theme instead of a niche, which is still related to a niche, but it's slightly different. And so you started talking about this, how, if she was going to do content around the gym, that she could then fold these other pieces of her interests into the gym content rather than just doing the old vlog way, which was kind of like everything. It was just 100% you, and also different from the old niche down way, which is just 100% the topic. This is a marriage of the two things. And the visualization that kept coming into my head, but as you were talking about that, was kind of like the sun and the moon, right? The sun, the planets, and the moon. Right at the center, you've got the sun, which is kind of the giant gravitational pull for the entire solar system. That is the theme of your channel, the main theme. So for her, it would be about the gym, right? But then as you kind of go on, well, let's say that she goes on a trip and because she loves travel, right? Well, does she work out? You asked her, do you work out while you're traveling? She's like, oh, 100%. I do it every single day. You're like, great. Well, that's one way you can get your travel, which is kind of one of the planets, right, into the content that's at that sun, at the center of the solar system, which is the gym.
Or at least when she's traveling, create gym content. You don't have to force the travel into it. Right?
Exactly.
You don't even have to like make a big deal about the travel. You can just be like, hey, so I'm going to Spain. I'm here in Spain right now, and I'm staying at this hotel. The gym is pretty empty, so I thought I would like do a video for you guys or something.
And all of that is because it is your life that you're doing. That's why it's vlogging, right? It's just that you're emphasizing in video one thing or the other. And because she's traveling, because she likes traveling, she gets to do this video where she talks about the gym while she's doing that. You could also do that with makeup if you were going to do makeup and go to the gym and things like that. And really, I think that that's the part that makes it vlogging, is because one way to think about that is that it is what helps you achieve that consistency that you were talking about at the beginning. Because it's your life and you're already living it, because she's already going to the gym every single day, well, guess what? It's super easy to create content about it. By the way, she's not forcing herself to go on a trip to make content. She's instead making content because she's on a trip and is going to the gym, and she knows that it's her opportunity to make content because she's going to the gym. There's one other piece of this, and we're going to talk about this again, and we actually talked about it last week as well. Doc coined it, AI versus YOU. The battle of the vowels, right? AI is going 100% personalized content, 100% information. It's kind of the ultimate niche machine in a certain type of way. On vlogging, and with the new vlogging method, with the advice that you were giving this person, this model of the theme and the having the sun at the center of the solar system and all of these planets that are things that you can hop to and touch on as a part of your vlog, it centers the YOU. Yeah. Because those are all the things that are already part of your personality. And so I know that was big to your design of Vlogging Academy. And does that kind of encapsulate what you were thinking of when you were doing it?
Yeah, I like this battle of the vowels, the AI versus YOU, because AI isn't just artificial intelligence. It's like every tool, right? Technology. And then YOU is like encompassing your humanized, like the human aspect of you.
Yeah,
as
your
a creator.
humanity. Yeah.
And I'll put another layer to it. I love that you said all AI is geography, right?
Yeah.
Not geography, geometry.
Yeah.
And you said all AI does is take this line and this, or this dot and this dot and this line, and it tries to match it up the same way. So when you asked it something through a prompt, it's just trying to give it to you. We call it hallucination, right? What do you
hallucination?
Call it? A hallucination. Sorry, I can't talk today. But all it's really doing is matching. It's matching. It's matching the dots and the geometry. Why this is important to the AI versus YOU, and taking in this, new creators kind of like personalization to make her human. There is no straight line as humans, right? There is it doesn't make sense. So when you add in the travel, when you add in the beauty stuff, it messes with the geometry.
Yeah.
And that's what AI can't understand. So to be fair, one reason I am pretty alarming about AI is because it is so good at replicating something and creating content, okay? Just look at these AI avatars. There's influencers that are completely made by a computer, okay? They're here to stay. They can't connect the gym to the travel to the beauty because it's not a straight line. The length, the squiggliness of it, this is just you. That's why you need to add that stuff. That's what makes you human and separates you from just another, not just AI, but another niched creator. You get what I'm saying? You know who says this, ironically, after this whole rant of, I don't recommend what this guy's saying. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, he does say like, put it all in there. So we all know Gary Vaynerchuk as probably the social media marketing expert, as well as maybe advertising, boss. But he talks about the Jets. He talks about wine. He talks about pickleball. And he's into collectibles and trading cards and stuff like that. It's crazy I know that about him. I've read his books, but I've also followed him. But it separates him from other social media experts, okay? Makes him unique. Now, not everybody's going to be into that stuff, but how many Jets fans appreciate it? And so because of that, they might follow him. How many people that are into collecting cards? I've met people that are into one of those hobbies, and because of that, they listen to Gary. So those things make you more human, but they more importantly make you more relatable. See, AI, there's no way to be relatable because AI is everything. See, AI is like, even though it's focused on one thing, don't get me wrong. One day you could probably tell us like, hey, Gemini, make me an influencer that's, a gym creator, and they also love to travel and they like to do this and create like 10 videos. And it'd be wild if it did, okay? But there's so many nuances to it that's like, just like the length of videos, I think that humanization is still a long ways off. And that's all you have right now. And that is ultimately represents your voice, your unique voice. And that's why AI versus YOU, you got to just be your full self.
Yeah, make it more human, more relatable, but importantly, back to the very first piece of advice that you gave her, more sustainable, right? And you talked about the idea of exercise, getting them all out in 30 days straight. Well, you said that there was a limitation to that, right? You can burn yourself out. And that actually brings us to some follow-up, because last week we talked about Alysa Liu. I'll talk about why I'm saying Alysa Liu later on. But we talked about Alysa Liu through that lens of the idea of sustainability and the idea of maximizing fun. We actually got quite a bit of feedback on that video, which took off a little bit on our channel. And I wanted to start with some feedback from KS- and I think it's LP3UI, who says, there are several factual errors in this video. One, Alysa was 12 during the 2018 Olympics. She was too young to compete at the junior international level that season, minimum age is 13. Two, Alysa was skating during COVID. She finished 6th at the 2022 Olympics at age 16. Then she goes on and says, number 4, Alyssa's dad is an immigration lawyer, not a doctor, which we also got feedback from one Texan 1058. There's one other piece of feedback that we got about the pronunciation of Alyssa's name, which I had thought was Alysa Liu. Doc corrected us to say it was Alysa Liu, but the story here is actually a little more complicated. And, forgive my diversion here because it's actually kind of interesting. So the first thing that sent me down this trail was a comment from Kristen AB3838 on our channel that says, Alysa has requested that the media say her name Liu, even though she herself pronounces it Liu. So it's not ignorance on the media's part. It is a request of the athlete. So I did some digging because I was like, this seems kind of weird. Mm-hmm. And maybe that is why I was pronouncing it Liu, because I thought there was some reason that I was pronouncing it there. I didn't have cognition about what that was. So the first thing I thought of was this website that people were kind of actually memeing on throughout all the Olympics, where the athletes have a bio and some of their statistics, and they actually say their own name. And I'm assuming they recorded it on their iPhone or something like that and uploaded it to this website. So neutrally, can we play the clip of Alysa pronouncing her own name?
Alysa Liu. Alysa.
There you go. Alysa Liu. So I was like, okay, well, that settles it. It's Alysa Liu. Doc was 100% right. But I thought I remember there was a reason that I pronounced it Liu. And so I was like, I got to go a little bit deeper. And of course, this comment was pointing me in that direction too. And so I went down a rabbit hole and found this clip of one of the figure skating kind of like media heads, basically talking about the experience of what happened in terms of why like NBC was pronouncing it Liu, why I was pronouncing it Liu, and why this is kind of a unique situation. So neutrally, can we play that clip?
And then the other thing I wanted to address in the chat is Alysa Liu has told us to pronounce her name as Alysa Liu, because there was a time when all of us, including NBC, because that's, the NBC, including Michelle and many of the researchers, makes sure to get the names pronounced as the skater wants it to be pronounced. NBC was pronouncing it Alysa Liu. I was pronouncing it Alysa Liu. As, you know, the Taiwanese spelling of that Chinese name would give you, it should be pronounced Liu, but she has asked the media to pronounce it Lu.
Yeah.
Much,
she pronounces it Liu, but
yeah.
she wants us
but
to say
she
Liu.
wants us to say
Yeah.
Lu. And also, there are many skaters who, for example, Luke Wang, who pronounces it
Yeah.
Wang instead of what it should be pronounced as, which is Wong. And so all of those questions around why are you pronouncing it Lu and you're pronouncing it incorrectly, it is not because we're pronouncing it incorrectly. It is because that is what Alysa Liu has asked us to pronounce it as.
So Doc in the chat with some real-time follow-up says, of course I'm right. But anyway, that is why I've been pronouncing it Lu and will continue to pronounce it Lu, is because that is what she's requested. We, as the media, continue to pronounce it as. Reggie's smiling at me.
I don't know. It's just funny that we're talking about this because, I mean, the different like angles and directions you can go with how to pronounce someone's name is just endless. And it's just comedic that she created another direction by saying, hey, I pronounce it like this, but I want you to pronounce it this way. And then secondly, that guy's podcast, he needs to get a photo on his like co-host's call-in or something.
There's a little thing in the bottom corner where it jokes and it says like, oh, this person's invisible or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, just put a like, something there. Okay. Yeah, so I guess.
So just a little bit of correction from last week.
Welcome to all the viewers from that video because it did hit. And I think that it's cool to get audiences, maybe you're fans of Alysa. You want to talk about what's actually more important for the people listening other than how to pronounce her name? How she became a creator overnight.
Well, let's talk about that in a second.
Is that going to be a topic?
Well, because one of the things that's interesting is that, you know, as I was watching the Olympics, of course, this stuff is just flooding my entire timeline. All of the hockey stuff, all of the curling stuff, all of the figure skating stuff. And one of the things that's part of that was that I saw a brand deal in my timeline. I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. This is what always happens on Instagram. You scroll through reels, and of course, every once in a while, somebody has a brand deal. Now, the brand deals on YouTube are different from the brand deals on short form because long form and short form brand deals allow different kinds of expression. In short form, brand deals are basically 100% of the video. It's 100% of the ad, right? Like the video itself is an ad. On YouTube, it can kind of be that way, but you can also integrate it into a larger story, or you can make a segment where that is just the ad itself, or of course on YouTube also there's AdSense, and so YouTube will place ads sometimes. There's much more diversity of ads on YouTube. But anyway, I was scrolling through and I see this on my timeline, and it is basically just a piece of short form that's hooking into the algorithm, and that was on my Instagram, and it was 100% an ad. So neutrally, can we play that ad?
Smoother than a perfect glide on ice. My shave routine.
Hi, I'm Alyssa, and I'm a US Olympian.
And I'm so excited to be working with Venus. Venus is the exclusive women's razor of USFS. Can't wait to show you what's next.
So I imagine that what you're talking about is the fact that she got a huge following overnight. But this, of course, preceded some of that. It was kind of during the middle of that rise. But your expertise is in brand deals. And the reason that this stood out to me is because, well, A, Instagram was feeding it to my timeline, even though I was not following her, right? I actually didn't think it was posted to her account. But B, the other important thing is that it was kind of a weird combination of things for a brand deal. Like, when I think of figure skating, I don't necessarily think of shaving as well. So to me, I know that in your experience, you have thoughts about brand deals. And I'm curious about what you thought about that and overall how you relate that to her rise as a creator.
Well, first off, I think they targeted the wrong person unless you like to use women's razors or something. Okay, so let me just talk about this ad right here. This is old school advertising at work. It really has nothing to do with her being a creator. It's 100% that she's going to be an athlete at the Olympics. And they just knew that, hey, regardless, there's a story here. If she wins gold, it's great. If not, and she's still like relevant, right? And it's a U.S. athlete. And I'm guessing that company is a U.S. Company as well. Okay.
I assume so.
Yeah. Procter & Gamble. I forget. So that is straight up TV commercial in vertical format. The reason I bring this up is it has none of her personality. It's funny. She won, and one of the things that made her famous, she won it on her own terms, with her own vibe, with so much joy. That looked kind of forced because it was a production, right? It wasn't like her doing her thing. When she's skating, she's not usually looking at a camera. If you were to ask her to do that, it wouldn't be on the ice.
No.
It would probably be like literally just in the locker room, literally, because that's where she would maybe use it, okay? But Alysa, as a creator, she already had an influence before. When I saw this story, I believe she had like 400,000 followers or 40,000, but enough to be a creator, especially in that world of figure skating, because it's not like giant or anything. I believe, and double check this neutrally, she has 4 million followers on Instagram. And I think I now follow her just because her story was so epic. And I love following winners. And she's a gold medalist for America. Amazing. And I've been seeing her do like very creator type of posts. When I say creator type of posts, just posts that like any human would make. But now she's doing it with a lot of influence. Where's she at neutrally?
6.9 million on IG.
Crazy.
Growing like crazy. And so the reason I bring this up in relation to Alysa, and even her name being said, a certain way by different people or whatever, versus how she says it, is that ad right there. That's just the beginning. I'm telling you, she could retire and she could probably become a full-time creator right away and do really well for herself. I say this because guess who else came back in the scene on my feed? Apollo Ono.
Huh. Interesting.
You know who that is?
I do.
I guess he's like an Olympic, creator, influencer.
I had no idea.
He goes to the Olympics, especially the winter ones. If you don't know, Apollo Ono was a speed skater from my era. So we're talking maybe 90s, definitely the 2000s. But he has an influence and he creates content. All eyes are on them. And if you win gold, even more so. And so afterwards, just like me, or maybe a figure skater that looks up to her, starts following her. So I believe that ad right there was unique to the Olympics. That brand is like, hey, they picked an athlete regardless of her influence. I don't think that was like a part of the equation. It was just that she's going to be competing in one of the most popular sports at the Winter Olympics, which is figure skating.
Yeah.
But now she's going to get way more deals because she went from 40. I don't know if we can track this or not. It's not that important. Let's just call it 400,000 to 6 million. Her brand deal rate is through the roof. She's going to experience a level of like wealth now that she couldn't have ever fathomed. And I don't think you even come close if you're just purely an athlete that wins at the Olympics or at the world level, because they do get sponsorships as athletes, but those are different. Those I believe, I don't have experience like representing an athlete, but I imagine they are a lot. But the thing about the like YouTube money, right, as we would say, or Instagram money, is different because it's easier to create that type of content. That a shot of her ice skating and saying all that, and I told you, I just read her face. To be fair, I'm not like trying to pick on her. It didn't look like her natural self. It was like forced because it probably made her film it 10 times. Versus a really good creator can film it one time, just relaxed, like themselves, and then make a really big payday and produce it by themselves without any kind of team. So I'm excited to see what she does with this. And that being an ad, it's funny, you watch the whole thing to the point where you remembered it for a podcast. But I believe she's going to create content, if she does it the right way, that her followers will consume, and it doesn't feel like an ad like that Olympic, shaving ad.
Alysa, we would love to represent you. Get in touch. And also another thing, a part of this is that back in the day, there's no way to carry forward that influence as a athlete from the Olympics, right? Because you could maybe go out and make deals to get like
there is a
deals.
way. There is a way. You have to get into the media game.
Well,
right?
exactly.
So you're going to get, it's all traditional stuff. So like the makeup brands, or in this case, like the beauty stuff or whatever, maybe like Gatorade. And you got to do the circuit. So you've got to do the interviews, you go on to shows, you do the commercials, and you're part of that big machine. Versus she has an opportunity to not have to do that, which actually it plays to her kind of new vibe, right? Yeah. Like, I do things on my own terms, which, by the way, as a creator, I'm not trying to give you advice, Alysa. You probably have good people around you. But you need to keep that same attitude and that same philosophy when it comes to brand deals, because you can do that. In fact, that's your whole brand. So if you do another one of those like ice skating force kind of like ad looking things, it's going to kill the vibe that you have. And that's why maybe for me, I saw a creator being born.
Yeah.
She was winning gold and she was just being herself. I'm like, this is a star that literally could become significant for the next 10 to 20 years outside of skating.
Yeah.
And who knows? What if she's like wants to act and be an actress? Maybe she wants to start some kind of like movement or organization or a business. She's got everything going on, and the same rules apply. When you do it your way because you know it works, and that's what feeds your joy and your spirit, that's usually the basis for the best content, which that is also, it's funny we're talking about this because last time we were just talking about the power of just being yourself and how that like unleashes creativity. In this case, also can make you a successful creator in general in all aspects of the creator economy.
Yeah, if I was going to put a pinpoint on the name for the philosophy that you're talking about, you just brought it up. It's fun maxing. And we have a clip that talks about that as well.
The Grindstep bros have lied to you. The path to greatness does not come from being really tight-fisted and beating yourself up and like discipline maxing. That's not how you get there, and it's also not the way to live. All right, all of the greats throughout history were playing the entire time. Einstein didn't wake up and go, rise and grind, brother. No, he was playing the violin. He was going for walks. He was thinking in the shower. He was talking with friends, and the ideas came. And on top of that, like, once you hit your goals, it never feels as good as you want it to feel. It feels pretty good. It's like taking off a shoe that was a little too tight. You feel a sense of relief, and then that fades, and then you're back to real life again. So if you're not optimizing for the before and the after, if you're not fun maxing, if you're not being playful like a child, you just gotta remind yourself, what are you even doing this for in the first place? For the accolades, for the social media posts? Remember why you started, all right?
So
I
there you
kind
go.
of disagree with him.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up, because we've talked a lot about on the show about how important it is to have fun. In fact, when we talk about consistency, fun is an important element that guides you in that direction. But I think you and I are going to agree on this, that there is an element of discipline that's important too.
100%. So in that clip, he showed a picture of Alysa Liu, or if I do it the NBC way, Alysa Liu, and then is it Jack Hughes?
Yeah, Jack Hughes.
Jack Hughes, the guy that scored the golden goal to win the gold medal for America in hockey. And it's interesting because the reason that hockey game was significant is because we haven't won it in almost 50 years, okay? But we didn't win it against Canada last time. We won it against the Russians. Not even for the gold medal. We won it for like the semifinals, and then the gold medal was against Finland, okay? But the Russians were the big arch, not even rival. They were just like the nemesis, okay? They were like the big, bad, like evil.
They were the
at
Death
the time,
Star.
honestly, at the time, still our enemy for our country, right? USSR against America, Cold War. So it had this political significance too. Why I bring it up is because that team from the USSR was complete opposite. They were not fun maxing at all. Okay. That was the era where that Russian-like discipline, that like militaristic type of training actually was working, because they know the world had never seen it. So they were dominating that sport. And so in that era, that really worked. That's why our like American boys from like farm towns all across America, you know, just learning how to do hockey on like a frozen lake, beating this like military like USSR. I mean, those guys were taller than our American players, everything. Okay. It's funny because I don't think it was their fun maxing that won. It was just our grit. Okay. Why do I bring this up? I disagree with the idea that fun maxing wins all the time. I think right now fun maxing is having its era because everybody went that discipline route, that like regimented route. And you can see this specifically in ice skating. I mean, look at all the gold winners in the last 20 years. They all did what Alysa hated doing. They were watching what they eat to have a certain figure, right? No pun intended, for their body, because that's the look you're trying to go for. They had to practice in a way where it was like militaristic and it was controlled, and it was maybe like it leads to burnout, which guess what? She did get burnt out. And then 3, it was just about being the best of the best compared to each other, and how she flipped the script through fun maxing. She was just the best for herself. And it's almost novel. See, a lot of the commentary that I was getting is like, man, she's got that bleached, weird leopard look. She's got, I called it tooth piercings, really piercing like up here. And she looked like she was having fun. She wasn't serious about it at all. It was almost like she was just having like a Sunday practice and there was nobody around. That set her apart. By the way, this is good advice for creators. Whatever sets you apart makes you different, makes you novel and interesting. So fun maxing right now, and why he put Jack Hughes, it's funny. That guy just got slapped in the face by a hockey puck and lost his thing. Somebody that just like is fun maxing his life is not getting up from that. There's like this meme going around of this NBA player that like got a fingernail injury, and he literally not only got out of the game, he couldn't play for like weeks, and he gets paid like $50 million a year. And here's Jack Hughes, tooth knocked out, bloody, scoring that goal, and he's probably going to go back to playing the NHL game like literally like a week later. Why I'm bringing that up is, yeah, there's an element of fun maxing, but that discipline, that the fundamentals, it's below the surface. The fun maxing right now, I believe, what it's doing is it's like unlocking something else. It's unlocking a certain amount of creativity, because when everybody else is doing this other thing, which was proven to work and was winning gold or just successful, you got to do something a little bit different. So Alysa and Jack Hughes, I think, are unlocking it. And I don't think it's a mistake that it's in this AI era.
Oh,
AI is not fun maxing at all. AI is geometry. AI is numbers. It's ones and zeros. It's just an equation, okay? So then the world's being filled by this, right? Both on the regimented side, discipline side, orderly side, the AI side, and the technology side. And what happened was a squishing out everything. I talk about this in YouTube Secrets. We were telling people, take the fluff out, right? The fluff was you. And it was the personality. Literally, in her case, it's like, get as skinny as you can, right? Like, be lean and mean. And now she's showing up just like a normal body type. I don't want to like make any suggestions or, assumptions or like labels here, but she even says, I got to eat what I want, right? So she shows up at her weight, whatever that is, wins gold. So the fun maxing is definitely an element, especially for creativity. I feel like he doesn't give a lot of context. It's not the thing that wins always, because what they don't talk about is all the times the Russians or the USSR, the Soviets, they called them, right, were winning before that. That's why they were the nemesis, right? That's why it was a big deal when we beat them. And so I think the reason Alysa won, partly, it's hard to judge the judges on this. They just saw something different. They're like, I'm going to give her a big sword. She just stood out. And that was the fun maxing on top of the discipline, on top of the fundamentals, on top of the consistency, because you better believe she was practicing, maybe more so, but she was doing it in a fun way, which made it enjoyable.
Yeah, I think to me, right, it actually is funny that you bring up the idea of Jack Hughes, because I would argue, you're right. Jack probably was having fun out there. It is a lot of fun, but hockey players are pretty heads down, and I would argue relatively pretty disciplined overall, right?
Yeah.
You have to be, right? In fact, all pro athletes, all elite athletes are, right? And so to me, the fun is something that is added on top of the discipline,
top of it,
on top of the work that you have to do
before
to get there.
You didn't have to.
Yeah, exactly. And so for someone like Alysa, right, think about all the work that she did as a young child. All those reps. In fact, a lot of that stuff was kind of a pressure cooker that gave her the skills to be able to express herself using those things. It gave her the tools in order to do the fun maxing.
Reverse it. Say she didn't do any of the work, the fundamentals, and lay down the foundation. She fun maxed from day one, not winning gold.
Yes, 100%. And so the idea of grit that you brought up, and actually Angela Duckworth, who's a famous psychologist, talks a lot about this. I recommend you look up her work. But she always says that grit, she's the one who kind of came up with it from a psychological perspective, is the number one predictor of success overall. If you can measure someone's ability, she calls it stick-to-itiveness. If you can stick to it through the times that are hard, then you're much more likely to win. Of course, right? That makes 100% sense, right? But I think that once you've earned your keep, so to speak, and you can go at it again, that's when you're able to turn around and make it fun. By the way, if you listen to Alysa as she goes and talks about it, she literally talks about the struggle constantly. She just reframes it in her mind. And that is maybe the skill that I would come away with, is the idea of saying, yeah, when things are hard, I can appreciate the struggle for what A, it's doing for me, B, what it's doing for my story, and C, what it'll help me achieve in the long run. I think that is kind of what creators can take away from it.
I think that missing element from what this guy was saying in terms of fun maxing, or maybe a different perspective, is they're able to work so hard because they're doing something that's fun for them. Alyssa's case, she lost that fun in what she was doing, and she found the fun and then did it her own way. With Jack Hughes, he probably never quit. I saw a video of him when he was younger. He's like, yeah, I can't wait to, try to represent. That'd be a dream for me. So because he loved hockey so much, he was able to put in that work ethic, put his heads down, as you'd say, get the tooth knocked out of him.
Yeah.
It's not about money.
No.
It's like, this is like a dream he had. So no matter what happened to him physically, arguably, if you get I was just thinking, like, if I got my tooth knocked out, I'd be out. I'm out. Like, I'm in Taekwondo.
You know what his response was about that? He said, when he was getting interviewed, he was like, did you even consider not coming back out? He's like, oh no, for a hockey player, that's automatic. 100%. When what he means by that is you automatically come back.
Doesn't it hurt though?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
they say
God.
that it hurts.
Oh. Like, do you think they give him a painkiller?
They may have. I don't know.
my
He said it
God.
was automatic. Sorry, I interrupted you though.
Nothing.
No,
I just say, I just wanted to give a contrarian view to what that guy's saying. I think it's a little bit like frou-frou, spiritual, hippy-dippy kind of stuff. I'm just saying it's a balance of the two.
Yes.
And right now, that fun maxing element, because we live in this creative world that was built, a world that was built on the opposite of that for so long, because it was technology and AI. And again, like, we're taking out all the fluff. All that stuff is novel now and new. And if it's built on top of that, that's what's winning. And that's a creator.
Yes.
Right? It's funny. The creators with the ability to fun max and do it with grace and just like share themselves, like fully, they just have to learn the work ethic and be regimented and be consistent, and they're gonna be ahead of the curve. Versus the people that are just regimented and have the fundamentals and all, but like they don't have any fun maxing, they're losing right now, especially with AI. They need that fun maxing. So it's almost like that crowd seeing Alysa and Jack and kind of their like joyful spirit. I'm like, that just won gold. There's something to it. And fun maxing is a term I think people are putting on it, when what I'm saying is don't forget about that base foundation.
Yeah.
Because you don't succeed with just fun maxing. You know what that is? It's like you're like a starving artist, okay? Fun maxing away just on the wind. But it's a combination of the two, because it is competitive, at least for creators specifically. I'm not talking about everyone else. I'm just saying for creators, there's no way you're going to beat somebody that is consistently uploading content and has an element of fun maxing and growing slowly, improving every single day, and doing it for a long period of time, versus just a person that's fun maxing from day one. That is like a roll of the dice.
The greats, I think, are willing to go through those periods of struggle with the discipline because they love the thing that they do so much, because they know they will have fun at the end of the day after they've done the hard work. And one way that you do that is exactly what we said at the top of the show, being yourself. And I think a great example of that is someone we talked about a couple of weeks ago, who's Bad Bunny. Now, last we discussed, we talked a lot about how Bad Bunny's rise was only possible because of streaming platforms, right? So SoundCloud, Apple Music, Spotify, they let him reach his audience, and YouTube, by the way, they allowed him to reach his audiences directly and bypass the old gatekeepers that were standing in the way. Radio, these big labels, everything like that. That's why he owns so much of his success, is because he went direct to his audience 100% of the way. And so we got this really interesting piece of feedback on another clip that we posted from @SLE28, who says this: The reason why his music has blown up over the years is because he actually makes really good music, but it's mainly dance music. So if you're not out in the club dancing, or if you're not going out to house parties, neighborhood parties, etc., where people are dancing to new music, then yeah, you probably haven't heard of this guy. But then he goes on to say his success is due to the streaming services kind of does a disservice to his talent, artistic instincts, and natural charisma that is required to be as popular as he is. I think that those services made it so that he didn't have to make crossover English versions like Shakira had to. But if his music was crap, he would not have made it to this degree. Any thoughts about that feedback?
Oh, yeah. Platforms never get the credit for someone's success. They get credit for being the best platform. Okay? It's always the case that a creator is going to go where the attention is, or at least one that, like understands the game, especially the really smart ones. So, I think that, of course, timing is important. Shakira grew up in the era where there was no social media yet. And, old school, you go on the radio, you do the kind of like the PR junket to a certain degree. You do the tour, you sell out your album. Well, he grew up in, I don't know what his age is. Neutrally, can you maybe look it up? But he's probably young, definitely way younger. So it's just a match. Like his era, the way he thinks, what he knows of the world, and how other people, because when I see pictures of him when he was younger, he just looks like a kid of the 2010s that just like, is kind of come into his own and finally like hitting his full potential. And the way he would deliver his music matches the platforms that are like giving the music to the masses versus Shakira. Now, it's hard to even compare because there's just so many different layers of it. This is why I'm personally so fascinated by him, because I didn't know any of his music at all. I listened to it here and there, and I appreciated it. But again, because it's in Spanish and it's not like what I would necessarily listen to, I might have skipped forward. But because he was on the Super Bowl and I sat there, watched his whole performance, and then I gave him a chance, I listened to it. So, by the way, this speaks to the power of the Super Bowl. I bet you he got way more new listeners.
Totally. It's just like Alysa after her gold medal win.
Yeah. So there is something to be said about the old school platforms, right? One is the Super Bowl, one's the Olympics.
Yeah.
That still have a huge benefit to it. This is why artists perform for free at the Super Bowl. But what am I trying to say? I don't think that platforms should get any credit at all. In fact, guess what? The platforms, they should pay the creators more. That's my thing. They should pay the creators more. They should do more for the creators. And YouTube specifically, we're talking about Spotify, right?
Well, it's everywhere, right?
Yeah. But unlike YouTube, for example, they just need to do more to support this community. I already feel like they do a great job by providing a free platform. Give them that credit, and the algorithm and the video library, and it all works. When it doesn't work, like my live stream the other day, like YouTube just didn't work, it's like a big deal. I can't complain because typically it's free. Now I pay for premium, so I should get a higher level of priority. But my point is, the answer to your question is, I don't think the platforms can ever get the credit. I think they actually should credit the creators, or in this case, the musician, and they should do more for them, right? They are serving them because the creators, whether a musician or, an influencer creating shorts, are giving you the thing that makes you valuable to the rest of the world. You're just playing middleman here, It's like,
100%.
Give credit where credit is due.
Some real-time follow-up from Doc Rock, who says that he's 31, that Bad Bunny is 31. And then in terms of the algorithm and the platform, right? If it was misconstrued last time, what we were talking about, we were not giving credit to platforms other than the fact that they got out of the way. In fact, we were saying, good job, platforms, for not getting in the way of these things, right? They've provided him the tools to necessarily do that. That's very important. Of course, as someone who is a computer science major, I'm very keen on that. I think that's a very important thing to do. But his greatness was allowed to shine through because there were fewer people between him and his audience.
No gatekeepers.
No gatekeepers. And I think that this is the takeaway for creators, which is that when you're creating something, what Bad Bunny did is he kind of took an existing thing out there and created a pond of his own that allowed him to reach an audience that ended up falling in love with it. It just so happened to be a worldwide, global audience of people, especially Spanish-speaking people, who could listen to his audience and really connect with it and vibe with it. It was the right thing for them, right? And the algorithm wasn't really any part of that other than helping him find those audiences. That's the extent of what the algorithm did. It wasn't this big bad thing that stood between him and getting something. It wasn't something that he had to create content for. He did all of the things that we talked about, put in the work, did a great job, was super disciplined, but also add a little bit of style, added a little bit of fun on top of all of that, expressed himself. And that is what connected with other people. In fact, that idea of putting his own beliefs and his own interest is part of why there was a big political backlash to it to some degree. But even beyond all of that, just pushing that all of aside, because it clouds the point, in my opinion. And when we talk about it, him doing that was what made him successful at the end of the day, because it allowed him to continue doing it. And it is what separates him from the old artists that were doing the genre of music that he's in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't personally like politics in my music or my content that I consume, unless it's like from a historical standpoint, what happened before, because I love documentaries and historical movies. But I agree with you. His ability to just be freely express himself, even if there's backlash, and then it painted his performance. It was a beautiful performance. Even the political side was done with so much taste that it's like, and then, of course, I'm American, so I'm pro-America, but I also love my neighbors, right? I have lots of friends in Canada and Mexico. I don't think that we should have any kind of fighting. We should be like closer. Right? And then when he came out with all the flags, so yeah, he just did it versus, okay, say like I had it my way and he wasn't political and he didn't have that. I don't think it would have been as beautiful a performance, because part of his process is very like timely, right?
Yeah.
Think about what was going on in America.
Yeah.
So you were looking at it, he was showing a totally different perspective of, I think, what has been such a tumultuous and such a like polarizing point of discussion. I didn't see any hate in there at all. Right.
Yeah.
There was no violence in it. It was, I mean, what did he say? He said the most powerful thing against hate is love. And you saw that in his performance. And that's actually ultimately why I'm a fan of him.
Yeah. And also, too, when it comes to that idea, he said that because he believed it. That authenticity is what shined through in that performance, right? That's what enabled him to perform that on that stage. And so the moral of the story is that the internet enables connection without gatekeepers. The algorithm facilitates that connection to those audiences, but ultimately your commitment to your work, to your discipline, to your grind, but most importantly, to your audience is what matters most at the end of the day. And that's why we've been so excited to partner with Ecamm, because we, this week, again, are sponsored by Ecamm Live, the powerful live streaming platform for Mac. Ecamm is the fastest way to create professional live and recorded video for Mac without needing a full production team. And we talk about it here because guess what? All of these people who have done all the grinding, who have done all of the hard work, one of the things that has gotten in the way sometimes for some people is just the mess of things in the middle. And fortunately, Ecamm gets out of the way and allows us to do that, to fund Macs, to take all of the lessons we've learned from all of our content creation and apply it and make it super easy to do. So here's who they say it's good for: video podcasters, educators and course creators, business owners doing webinars, workshops, and trainings, and anyone else who wants polished video without overproducing. And one of those people who does that every single week, in fact, multiple times a week, is my co-host here, Benji Travis. Benji, how has Ecamm been able to help you fund Macs and help you shine through in this new era of live streaming for yourself?
Yeah, and so for anyone that doesn't know who I am, I think giving context is really important. I started doing YouTube in 2008, helping my wife with her beauty channel. And then literally within 2 years, her and I are vlogging on our secondary channel, which became our main channel, which is called It's Choosy Life. So for 15 years, I've been a vlogger, daily vlogger for 7-8 years, and then just a family vlogger and travel vlogger and doing all that kind of stuff. So I'm like definitely pro YouTube, pro, edited content, but we also are busy. In addition to being married, we have 5 daughters. I just started teaching Taekwondo. We're very involved in different events and whatnot. So it was getting harder and harder, and we've been lowering how many times we've been vlogging. Also, as that's happening, guess what? Vlogging came back, right? Pandemic, people were at home. watching content on the TV. So vlogging came back. So I started doing vlogging the new method, and we talk about it in the description about the Vlogging Academy and how to do it in this new era. But I put it all together because at the end of the day, when I think about this year, 2026, and what's ahead, especially in the context of AI slop, and just like the competition, not just from AI, but from other creators, new creators, different platforms, short form, long form. The way forward is the longer your videos are, the better for yourself. You're going to separate yourself from all the short form creators who go viral, but people don't know who they are. You're also going to be doing the thing that the AI can't do, which is make longer content. And the thing that does it the best, the easiest, and fun maxes at the most is live streaming. I've done live streaming in the past, 24-hour live streams that took, I mean, how many people did it take to run that 24-hour live broadcast dance-a-thon charity event, would you say?
I mean, at least a dozen, if not dozens.
Dozens, okay? To run this 24-hour live stream. And then when I started doing my kitchen content, it was 2 people, hours and hours and hours. Well, in this new era, you have to do it on the fly. That's why in real life, streamers came on the scene because they were able to do it mobile. But what's funny is I saw one on the street the other day, and I'm not talking about people I know. I saw some streamer. He had a video guy. He had like a bodyguard. This was in Seattle, by the way. Wow. And like a whole entourage. And he was just talking, doing. I was like, that's like what Kai Cenat does. But now I know what it looks like. He must have been a big in real life streamer or something. Was in Seattle.
Yeah.
For me though, I see the challenge of that. It's hard to do. Not everybody can afford that kind of gear. Not everybody can afford that kind of internet. Not, like mobile internet. Not everybody's going to have an entourage or whatever. Same thing with me. My whole live stream setup, which was like $15,000, 2 different people, to like the 24-hour one with like sometimes 20 people running it. It's not sustainable for the average person. That's why my live streaming content is literally the most dumbed down version. Okay. No offense to Nuclear, who runs everything, literally what we're doing right now, and to Ecamm Live. But I can do it by myself in my kitchen. And it's because of Ecamm and their software that I'm able to do it. And guess what? I'm live streaming 3 times a week. In addition to vlogging 3 times for my family channel, in addition to doing 2 vlogs on my food channel, I'm able to do it. If I didn't have those things on, there's nothing stopping me from doing every single day. And if I didn't have this huge creator event I'm running, this agency I'm starting, I would do live streaming every single day. And I love that you related it to fun maxing, because when I'm in the kitchen, I'm just having fun. Even my team says, hey, this is a different side of you that we didn't see on previous live streams, because Nuclear and him were just butting heads about how to produce everything. And then even my edits, right? My edited vlogs, there's something missing from it, because it's not showing everything. It's showing mostly everything, right? But it's not showing everything. When live stream, you get everything. Like, I'll forget to do something, you see all that. I make a mistake, you see all that. So in addition to fun maxing, it's also more relatable.
Yeah.
And it's like me being human. So I'm so grateful to Ecamm Live for my food content. It's just starting out. It doesn't get as many views yet, but it's at the very beginning, because people didn't know me as a live streamer, right? They knew me as a vlogger. That's what I was doing. So this new thing. But what's crazy is I've been live streaming to multiple platforms, triple my reach. See, that would have been a separate edit, a separate upload for each one of those, because I do long form. Short form might be different. But now I'm getting 3x of views. It's because of the multi-streaming tool that we use on Ecamm Live. So I don't know. Like, I feel like that's a pretty good answer to why I'm live streaming and how Ecamm makes it fast and easy. But I'm telling creators right now, the ones that are doing it at the highest levels have some aspect of live streaming going on. And it doesn't surprise me. It's mostly young people. Okay. For whatever reason, people my generation, they're like adverse to it, or they work too much to set it up in a way where it doesn't look real. Yeah. These young people, right? John Cortese, Mavin, these are a couple creators in Seattle. Obviously, like the Kai Cenats of the world, they're doing it way more naturally, and they don't even think. They're just doing it. Guess what it reminds me of? When I started daily vlogging. We just did it. We didn't even think, right? So and I talk about this at my creator event, right? I'm going to, how if live streaming isn't part of your toolkit or is the thing that you do, you're going to get left behind, in my opinion, because this is the ultimate way to go deeper with your audience and let them get to know you. That person we talked about today, this morning that we met,
Yeah.
what did I ask them? I said, hey, how much closer do you get to the TikToker that has a YouTube channel that has long form content versus another TikToker that doesn't have that long? It's like, oh, way more. When I'm doing my makeup, I just pop open my laptop. This is after she just told me she goes on TikTok, Instagram, and she barely uses YouTube. She literally said, I pop open my laptop and watch her YouTube video, and they hang out with me because they're like right there. Even the people that don't even know YouTube's significant is using YouTube. It's not YouTube that's significant though, it's the long form content. And live streaming is the ultimate version of that.
If you want to get started, you can see how it works for yourself by starting a free trial at the link in the show notes and use code BenjiTV15 for 15% off your first month. Again, go to the link in the show notes, start the trial, and use code BenjiTV15 for 15% off your first month. Thank you so much to Ecamm Live for sponsoring our show. One more item of follow-up. Last week, we talked about how YouTube had become the _1 cited source by AI chatbots overall, by the way, which is a huge deal. Well, you mentioned Gary Vee earlier, and we're going to talk about him now because our friend of the show, Anton Stetner, sent us a clip of Gary Vee weighing in about this idea, about what creators should do with AI and content.
Gemini is going to have 30 to 60% of the AI market. The content you make today on YouTube and YouTube Shorts specifically will be feeding the results of these AI inquiries that all your customers are going to be doing tomorrow. YouTube Shorts has gone from like 5th and 6th most important platform at Vayner to potentially number one. Like must attack creative and social to show up in AI results. Like this windfall that is coming, I could not recommend more people to produce content specifically for YouTube and YouTube Shorts, specifically under the genre of information.
So I'm curious about what your reaction was to that clip when Anton sent it to us.
Yeah, and to give context, Anton is a friend of mine. He has a real estate podcast I co-produce with him. It's doing really well, but I've been coaching him for, it's crazy, like 15 years, by the way.
Wow.
His podcast is only about 3 years old, but I've been coaching for a very long time. But he's successful right now at podcast and long form. And he's heard me say things like, oh, YouTube Shorts is kind of like okay or whatever. It's definitely all about TikTok, Instagram Reels. And so he sent it saying, hey, this is a different perspective on what you've been saying. But what he didn't know, and I replied back to him, is I actually agree with what Gary's saying. But that is a shift that just happened really in the last 6 months, that YouTube Shorts has a bigger significance than just being like a short form, platform that short form creators can succeed on. It's feeding a new discovery tool, which is called Gemini. You know what's crazy to me? I just realized this. Gemini is the only one that has a short form content platform directly connected to it.
Totally, yeah.
ChatGPT, they don't have any content platform. They have Sora. That's kind of their play, but it's not nearly as used, okay? TikTok, they have AI tools in it, but people aren't using it the same way they use ChatGPT or Gemini. I'm telling you, what Gary Vaynerchuk just said is probably one of the most important things that any short form creator or literally any human that has a business, that's an entrepreneur, ever said. Because what was one of the worries about AI in the beginning in relation to content?
That people are going to create a bunch of AI stuff that'll push people out? I guess I don't know. There's a lot.
But what was it in relation to your content? If you're a creator, what was ChatGPT going to do with your content?
Steal it, basically?
Steal it.
Yeah. Would
you say that they've been successful in doing that and we're going to stop it?
I mean, pretty much on all levels. They've taken content to train the models. This is what they're talking about. What we talked about last week, that they've become that YouTube videos have become the #1 cited source for them. So they're taking your information and doing it. By the way, you click on a video on YouTube, there's a little Gemini button that literally is answering questions before people even watch your video. I do that sometimes.
So what Gary is saying is not something new. he's seeing this already play out. Because in the beginning of YouTube, you know what bloggers would have said? It's like, why are you giving so much free information? Why are you giving so much free coverage for the products that you're using in your YouTube videos? We used to have to charge brands for it because in blogs, there was this established world, this order of things, right?
Yeah.
Then you got this creator, right? That's not even a professional creating content on the same niche that this blog is, and they're doing it all for free. They're getting AdSense, by the way, right? But it's not nearly what a blog would get through their AdSense and their brand deals or whatever. Point I'm trying to make is free is usually the clue to do. Okay?
Interesting.
So a lot of people are scared of ChatGPT. Now it's Gemini, it's Grok, it's Claude, it's all these other tools because they are taking your content and using it in the answers of the prompts you're getting from people. People ask a question, they want to answer. I asked a question like, hey, teach me Benji's new vlog method. What does it do? It actually teaches like a good like base foundation of what my new vlog method is. And one of the sources is a 2-hour interview with Sean Cannell on his podcast about my new vlog method. I could have had the choice to be angry at that or been like, this is something. This is happening. That was on ChatGPT, by the way. Okay, that wasn't even on Gemini. But I wouldn't be surprised if Gemini is even better in terms of the new vlog method teaching. So what Gary's trying to say is, hey, rather than fighting it, use it. Because ultimately, would you agree with this? We're going to definitely get a lot of answers from AI and ChatGPT and Gemini. That's going to make it so that we don't need to see the videos.
Totally.
But would you prefer, if you're going to dive deep into it, to like get that information from an actual human if you can, or at least when you choose it, you would choose a human over an AI avatar if you wanted the visual of it, the video version of it?
I mean, by definition in that scenario, yes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying is like there could be like an AI avatar talking about this, replying it, but there's something weird about that.
Yeah.
Like if you sniff that this is an AI avatar, you're like, whatever, even if it looks real. You want the real human. By the way, this is another reason that why Gary actually says this. In-person events are going to be even more valuable because, you know, like when you're sitting in front of me, I know you're real. Like I don't have to question it. Versus when you're scrolling, sometimes like, is this AI or whatever? I don't want to talk. No one wants to talk to a human. I don't care. You're going to be a small percentage if you want to talk to an AI or robot versus a human, okay? So don't worry about those people. We're talking about 99% of people that want to view. So my point is this. If you create YouTube Shorts and you give Gemini and all AI chat LLM platforms the ability to use your content for the answer, when people want to go deeper into that topic, into that interest, into whatever you're talking about, and you have long form on this side, this is why live streaming, right? I'm telling you, live streaming is the opposite of the AI answer. And this is why I think like it's smart. My number one instinct when I saw this, my reaction, other than like, oh, I agree with it. Why are we not doing more YouTube Shorts?
Yeah, and actually, let me tell you why. Because I disagree with you. I think that Gary's wrong on this, in my opinion. And the only reason, and that's a bit bold statement to say, but if I was going to talk to Gary, I would say, okay, how are you monetizing this at the end of the day, right? Because think about it. I mean, there's an issue already with making long form content and having people. Having these AI search engines cite your video and have people not even clicking on it. So the best you can hope for in these scenarios is that people are just happen to be clicking through on one of the weird links, which so few people do. I mean, we talked about this, I want to say 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, back in like November or December, where we literally saw the traffic of the entire web drop. It killed websites. It killed old-fashioned
Gemini and ChatGPT, you're saying?
All of these chatbots basically, because the Google traffic has started to go to zero. There's a term for it. It's called Google Zero. Now, if Google is leading to zero traffic on these websites and they're monetized via advertising, well, how do you sustain those businesses? They don't. They just go away, right? So as a creator, that's kind of the same thing, right? So let's say that you're on ChatGPT and it finds a short and it sends you to the short in this way, as per Gary is kind of painting the picture here. Well, as the creator who made that short, how are you monetizing it? Well, you're probably not doing a brand deal because the person's probably not searching for a brand deal. They're searching for useful content. And by the way, there's not a long enough time in that short to have both the content that you want to give and a brand deal. We talk about this all the time. That's a problem with shorts. So brand deals are a no-go. What about affiliates? Well, maybe affiliates. That's maybe the closest thing, right? Maybe you're looking for a product and ChatGPT sees this and it's sort of recommending things. And maybe that's sort of the behavior. They're watching your video and they're like, oh, this guy recommended it, so I'll click on it. But wouldn't ChatGPT want to take that revenue from you in the first place? So wouldn't they put that and get the affiliate revenue over you? That seems more likely to me personally. It's just a more direct path from A to B. Maybe your own product, but that's the same issue. The last option is AdSense revenue, which kind of is there for short form content. But as we know, AdSense pays not even just like proportionally less. It pays like exponentially less than long form does. So there's no business model there. So what's the upside for a creator as far as you go here? I mean, you can get the attention, but who cares about attention if you can't turn it into a career in that regard, right?
You're looking at it one-dimensionally.
Yeah,
so
tell me more.
When you upload a short, he's not saying upload a short just purely so Gemini can take your answer and answer other people's question and basically steal all your IP and intellect and, like information. Remember, if you put up a good YouTube Shorts, that's one of the reasons why Gemini would use it or source it. What happens when you put up a good Shorts? It gets views. You grow an audience. You might get more subscribers. So it's not like just one thing. So yeah, you're right. In the case of Gemini, you're not getting anything beneficial from that one-dimensional kind of like relationship, but you will on the flip side. Now, AdSense we know is ridiculously low on shorts, but that's what I'm saying. You got to play the volume game, okay? But guess what? Discovery and growth is still there. Now, this is coming from somebody that is pro. I just talked for like 10 minutes about live streaming. I'm definitely longer form content. I'm a vlogger. Our vlogs are now minimum like 10 to 15 minutes and like oftentimes 20 to 30 minutes, okay? It makes sense if you can do it at scale for very little effort. The only time we've been able to do that is just in the last 6 to 12 months with the kind of tools. Now, I think it's Ecamm. I know YouTube does like clip out things. I've seen this happen on Judy's live streams and my live streams. She did a live stream and she let YouTube clip out one part of it and it got 100,000 views and she did no work.
That's crazy.
Clip farming is a whole new ball game. Before you had an editor clip farming, you decided what goes out. Now, if AI is doing it or this tool's doing it and it's using data, in that case, I mean, I don't know. I wonder if it's the novelty that Judy never uploads shorts and that worked, but still it got 100,000 views. Okay. I think it's still growing. But what if you're doing that a lot? So one-dimensionally, I totally get what you're saying. It's always been the case though, Austin, that you monetize any kind of influence, any kind of viewership. So if you're it'd be different if you uploaded a short and no one saw the short. Say you're just uploading it to the Gemini machine, right? That's a risk because what's the benefit for them to give you credit? I actually think though, like my interview with Sean, that was sourced as a source of the new vlog method answer in ChatGPT, you can get discovery. One thing, because you're not old enough to know this, because when you first started caring about this, you were still probably in elementary, okay? You don't know how many people said it's dumb to make YouTube videos because you don't make money?
I'm sure many.
A ton.
But let me push back because I know where you're going with this. There was an existing advertising model that worked for that medium of content, right? Maybe not exactly in 10-minute segments, but kind of yes. I mean, YouTube has always been
going with this.
like
what about TikTok? What about Instagram Reels? Do you think those people that built influence on platforms that don't have any good ad revenue regret doing it?
Not in those platforms because they had an exist. Let me give you credit about where I agree with you. I think that if you're doing it to get more views and subscribers, I think that is a valid way to do it. But it's a roundabout way to build a business. So it's shocking to me to hear him say it's been like number 6 or 7 up to number 1 in terms of his company's prioritization framework. And to your question about why we're not doing it is because I think it's like a 2nd or 3rd or 4th. It's kind of like a nice to have. It's a cherry on top, right? As Doc says in the chat, it's kind of like purely a discovery tool, period, is what he says as real-time follow-up. And so why wouldn't you focus on getting the fundamentals, to our point earlier in the show about getting the grind done, doing the right things right first? I mean, getting the fundamentals here. Rather than focusing on these nice to haves that will be good later down the line once you've already built that business, right? Now, here's the thing that really stood out to me about your answer is that Gemini probably, and this, I had not thought of this, these things are probably not citing your thing as a source unless it's already found some traction. So there's a sequence of steps that has to happen before ChatGPT cites your short as an answer, which is that you do already have to get views on the video, which maybe incentivizes you to make a better video, which maybe gets you more views and subscribers, which then you can monetize. But to me, still, it seems backwards to prioritize shorts over something like long form or live.
Yeah, you know, you have to always give context, especially to Gary's answers, because what does Gary have? A huge team. And he's famous for saying he made this whole PDF about how to upload like 52 pieces of content a day, okay? And he gives it out for free to people. And he believes you should go out on all platforms all day long. So he's the original Cortese, right? John Cortese was uploading like 5 to 7 a day. He was already doing that 10 years ago with his huge team.
Yeah.
So when he says it moves from 6 to 7 to 1, it doesn't mean 2 to 10 loses significance. He's still doing it. So it's in the context of what he does. And remember, everything starts for him in long form.
Yeah.
It's not committed to short form. So if he's already filming the long thing, like that example, I think he was talking to an audience, or maybe that was one of his keynotes. He gets invited to really like speak and he makes money. So he says, if you're already going to talk about it, which funny enough, that's why I started this podcast with you. I was having these discussions with you and other creators, and it was just getting lost into space. So now we're doing it on YouTube, and anybody that's listening benefits from any wisdom I might share, my perspective, and my advice.
Yes.
The shorts just extends that.
Exactly.
So you're right. It's one-dimensional. If you just focus on giving content to YouTube Shorts,
and especially to AI,
that almost never happens.
Yeah.
But my last thing I'd say to you as a creator that's been through these different seasons is, if you don't, someone else will.
Yeah.
And guess what? Gemini or Google or YouTube, they will pay attention to who those people are. And those are the people that get called up, get emailed, get invited, get support from YouTube, because that's the thing. Like, it's the doers, okay? And it's funny, you're kind of talking like an old person right now. Oh, why would you do that? There's no monetization. That's what they all said to us when we first started YouTube, right? Oh, you're not making money. You're just doing stuff for free for YouTube. Yes, you're right in that one-dimensional relationship, but there's just so much more to it. And the discovery tool, just like Doc said, for YouTube Shorts is really powerful. But also, this is what I tell all short form creators. If you're already doing the shorts, put it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Put it on Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels. That is the craziest thing about short form. It's like unlimited. Go on LinkedIn. Go on X, right? Now, that takes work. It's funny. We were talking to that person this morning. And I was like, yeah, it's only 30 seconds, right? But I was like, but at the same time, I know you kind of burnt out. You just spent an hour making this shorts. You don't want to do it. But still, like, if you really want this to happen, that's Gary's argument always.
Yeah.
If you really want this to happen, no excuses.
Yeah.
Do it all. Because if you don't
Screw
do it,
fun maxing.
well,
I'm just joking.
well, if you don't do it, someone else will.
Yeah.
And guess who that someone else was? My wife. Because ROI-wise, like just purely vlogs, there's not the equivalent ROI for how many vlogs we uploaded. But man, it planted so many seeds. It's funny. I talk about some of these creators I hang out with, right? When they say, I grew up with you, that was those 7 days a week. So you don't know the benefits from that. I actually think there's a benefit individually, privately, which is just the reps you get in, okay? It's like, you love hockey.
I do.
Okay. How many hockey, I know slap shots aren't as a big of a deal, but like goal, like how many times have you practiced where no one cared? It wasn't in a game. It might not have even been in a practice.
Thousands and thousands.
Does it make you better for the game?
Of course.
I'm telling you, that's what shorts are. The ultimate short form is the ultimate practice tool with the benefit of discovery. And in this case, yeah, maybe if they're using it, but I'm telling you, when the small percentage that wants to know where the source is from, I'm telling you, when I asked for Benji's new vlog method, it did show Sean's podcast of me, right? I did get that discovery, and that's the beginning of something that you can't even like really understand, like the weight of it and the value of it, and versus the person that doesn't, right? Now, again, what's your strategy outside of it? It might be better, but what he's trying to say is if you isolate all short form platforms right now, there is a benefit that's like 10x now for YouTube Shorts because of Gemini. And most people are like, I don't want to give Gemini or any AI my content for free. And some people turn off that AI button. What he's saying is like, stop acting like an old fogey, get with the times, because every single era, it was those young people that are like, you know what? I'm just going to create this content because I want to talk and I can help somebody else. I'm going to do it. That will benefit. There is going to be a benefit we don't even know about. And Google's going to see the ones. I do agree with you there. It's going to be less percentage that will benefit. That's why my whole philosophy on brand deals right now is don't be part of the blob.
Yeah.
That blob is getting bigger and bigger. It's a commodity to your point of content, right? You're the one that said short form is a commodity. So in this case, your argument is like consistent. Be part of that creme de la creme. But guess what? That creme de la creme, the best of the best, they can still utilize short form as long as they have something else layered on top of it, which in the case for us, where we would agree, is long form. And that includes live streams.
Yeah, speaking of business models, we had to cut this from the show last week, but I'm kind of glad we did because there was blockbuster news as it relates to the Netflix Warner Brothers deal. Now, I want to remind you that we're talking about this because I would put Netflix as one of YouTube's top 2 competitors, just generally speaking. And I think the moves that Netflix makes are now, when you look at the big picture, making waves in the creator community. So to catch us back up, back in December, Netflix announced that they had an agreement with Warner Bros. Discovery. And to understand that, Warner Bros. Discovery is split up by its name. First of all, you got Warner Brothers, which is the legacy Hollywood studio and premium entertainment assets, which is like Warner Bros., the film and TV studio, HBO, related scripted brands, IP that historically sat inside of Time Warner and then Warner Media. And then you've got Discovery, which is basically the cable channels. And so Warner Brothers Discovery owns things like Netflix, DC, HBO, the Discovery Channel. Those are the things that were sort of part of what was up for sale. And Netflix said that they wanted to acquire Warner Brothers, not the Discovery part, Warner Brothers, to do a couple of things. Number one, build their back catalog because they get all of the Warner Brother movies, TV shows, etc. And also to, number 2, gain a true production studio that understands the old Hollywood game. They like went around saying that they wanted to show up in theaters and give people windows and like make other kinds of art that would win like Oscars and stuff like that, right? Now, what makes it interesting is that there is kind of a love triangle in this story. Paramount also really wants Warner Brothers Discovery. It just wanted the whole thing, not just the Warner Brothers part. So right after that announcement, we talked a ton on this show about how Paramount launched this attempt at a hostile takeover of the deal, which failed. And then steadily, Paramount has been mounting these counter offers week after week after week, which brings us to last week, the thing that we skipped. So this is from Lauren Hirsch of the New York Times on February 15th, where she says, Warner Brothers Discovery is weighing whether to reopen deal talks with Paramount, which last week submitted a new improved offer that said 2 people who are familiar with the matter but not authorized to speak publicly about it. Now, to interpret this, at the time, this means that Paramount basically said, hello, this isn't our best offer, but here's an offer. And so I imagine like Warner Brothers, who's like trying to make a decision between Paramount and Netflix, going like, hey, I'm kind of annoyed. You said it's not your best offer, so give me your best offer, right? Why wouldn't you do so? And so 2 days later, this is from February 17th, this is what they said as reported by Emma Roth at The Verge. After rejecting Paramount's latest acquisition bid, Warner Bros. Discovery says that it's giving the David Ellison-led entertainment giant 7 days to make up its quote-unquote best and final proposal. Though Warner Brothers is reopening negotiations with Paramount, the company makes it clear as a press release that it still favors Netflix's $83 billion deal to purchase its studio and streaming service. And so basically, to summarize, Warner Brothers was like, hey, make us an offer we cannot refuse. And yes, The Godfather is owned by Paramount, just so you know. Which brings us literally to last week on February 24th, on Thursday. On February 24th, Paramount revises its bid for Warner Brothers Discovery, as reported by Lauren Hirsch at the New York Times, where she says Warner Brothers Discovery confirmed that it had received and revised the offer from Paramount to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, its latest offer to woo the entertainment giant away from a deal with Netflix. Okay, deep breath here. Long story short, it has gone back and forth in this love triangle. Netflix has been in the lead for pretty much this whole time. They really want Warner Brothers Discovery because they care about the back catalog. Which is why it's kind of interesting for creators, right? Because YouTube has an infinite back catalog. Paramount, the old brand here, the old thing as compared to Netflix, says, hey, we want you because we understand Hollywood. We think we should just combine because we're both kind of old Hollywood brands that we want to combine for.
It's crazy to think about Paramount and Warner Brothers together because those are two totally different, end credit kind of scenes, or at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
you see
opening
either
credit.
Paramount or Warner Brothers, among others like Fox or whatever. And to think they're going to combine, it's like the Seahawks and the 49ers combining, honestly. It's so opposite. It's kind of crazy.
And so this is where we finally get to last Thursday when I sent you a screenshot of the New York Times with this headline, Nushali, if you can bring it up. Netflix backs out of bid for Warner Brothers, paving way for an Ellison takeover. This is blockbuster news. This is a huge, huge deal as it relates to Netflix and Warner Brothers and Paramount. It's also a huge deal for creators, in my opinion. So let me quote from Lauren Hirsch one more time, again at the New York Times, who says, Netflix said on Thursday that it had backed away from its deal to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, a stunning development that paves the way for the storied Hollywood media giant to end up under the control of rival bidder, the technology heir, David Ellison. Netflix said that it would not raise its offer to counter a higher number that had been made earlier this week by Mr. Ellison's company, Paramount Skydance, adding in a statement that, quote, the deal is no longer financially attractive, end quote. Quote, this transaction was always a nice to have at the right price, not a must to have at any price, the Netflix chief executives Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters said in the statement. Netflix reached an $83 billion deal in December to acquire a larger portion of Warner Brothers Discovery's business, including HBO and Warner Brothers Movie Studio. The acquisition was poised to cement Netflix, once a striving outsider in the film entertainment business, as the preeminent juggernaut of Hollywood. Paramount eventually submitted the revised offer, and here's the number, instead of $83 billion, $111 billion, which Warner on Thursday had decreed a, quote, superior deal, giving Netflix 4 business days to decide if it would counter.
And they didn't.
And so Paramount pretty much all but is ready to purchase Warner Brothers Discovery, or actually the whole thing at this point. And Netflix is going to be continuing to go at it with their middle of the road play as the
middle of the road play.
Yeah, I mean, they are, right? We talked about this, right? Their big...
You never want to be middle of the road.
You don't. And so because what they were doing is that they were buying up all these podcasts and putting them up because they didn't have enough content, right? But at the same time, they kind of wanted to be old Hollywood, which is why they were buying Warner Brothers, right? And so they're playing both sides of the coin. And guess what? The Warner Brothers thing went all the way away. And so now they're kind of moving down. And I would argue it's moved them closer to competing with YouTube even more.
What, Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix.
Even more so competing with YouTube.
Because guess what? They're no longer Warner Brothers. They don't have that old Hollywood thing. So what are they going to do? They're probably going to go buy up more podcasts, if I'm being honest with myself.
Yeah. No, the story about Paramount buying Warner Brothers, to me, is more significant in terms of Ellison being part of it, because media is power, period. Okay. And so if you control more assets, in this case IP, for content, that's just more pull. Okay. Yeah. So he can start a super app for movies.
Yeah.
Okay. I like Paramount movies. I like Warner Brother movies. Batman, one of my favorite IPs, is on Warner Brothers. Okay. So you want to talk about a super library? It's kind of like back in the day, Blockbuster. Why was Blockbuster so powerful? They had all the movies. There was a competitor Blockbuster. I forgot what they were called, right?
Hollywood,
yeah. Okay. But man, that was like a far off second. Okay.
Yeah,
it was all about Blockbuster. So most people went to Blockbuster. Be more of a location thing.
And then eventually Redbox.
Okay. So it's funny. Redbox is Netflix in a way.
What do you mean?
It's middle of the road.
Oh,
and now it doesn't even exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Redbox, I don't know
I
if
think they died like last year or something.
Oh, crazy.
They're
I
all
remember.
gone.
Yeah.
Okay, they're all gone? All right. Rest in peace, Redbox. Okay, so Paramount thing, right, because I already know, because even me, I'm like, why are we talking about this story? The Netflix thing is also very interesting for a creator because they are trying to buy creators' IP.
Yes.
So we talk about Mark Rober, right? And some of these podcasts. What about Blippy? They already been doing this for a long time. Mr. Beast. Oh, not Mr. Beast. Mr.
Well,
Beast
he's on Prime,
Amazon.
though. Yeah.
Right. But Blippy and some of these other kid content, because guess what? As a parent, I pick Netflix sometimes and pick the kids profile for my kids. And so if there's more YouTube kids content on Netflix, I'm more likely to watch it. So it's an attention competition for Netflix, as well as it's a library thing. The thing you talked about least in your full on explanation is YouTube.
Yep.
This is what's nuts about YouTube. They're not middle of the ground. They're
very pure.
Flying
actually.
high,
Yeah.
pure. It's about YouTube and YouTube content. You know what's funny? They kind of left behind the whole FOMO game a while. They still kind of like be like, oh, you know, Academy Awards, Grammys, like look at us or whatever. Okay. I'm like, forget that. Who cares? Kids that watch YouTube, this conversation we had this morning explains it all. I asked this person, because they're younger, okay, than us. I won't say their age. And I said, what's the platform you want to create content on and why? And they said Instagram, because that's what I use. I like the aesthetics of it. I was like, okay, so what's the biggest platforms that your generation likes? She goes, oh, definitely TikTok and Instagram would win out.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you think about YouTube? It's like, oh yeah, I watch it once in a while. And later that conversation, when she's explaining her logic on why long form works, and even talking about one of her favorite TikTokers, and watching their long form content, she's talking about opening up a laptop and letting YouTube videos play every single morning. Now, she might not be watching as much YouTube as me or as much YouTube as the average YouTube viewer, obviously. But the point is this: YouTube has its own space that nobody can touch.
Yeah.
It's like the everything platform for content, whatever your interest is. Right now, I'm interested in what's going on in Iran, okay? This war that got started, I want to know everything. So I go to YouTube before I even go to TV. You, right? You love sports.
Yes.
Where do you go for that long form sports content?
YouTube.
Okay, those are two totally different things. And then neutrally, what's right now, what are you geeking out on YouTube specifically?
Guitars, instruments.
Guitars, and everybody has something, okay, that no other platform can touch compared to YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. YouTube is kind of becoming the thing that is like in the background, but is used every single day. What's that sound like? The TV. Okay. So all these other platforms, the reason this story is significant is that YouTube is like a bigger opportunity than you think. No pun intended. TV, longer live streams. And even if you want to be big on Instagram, even if you like think like being a TikToker is cooler, or like in the case of some of these IRLs, it's Twitch, okay? YouTube is the play. Even like Gary's talking about YouTube Shorts, Gemini is a close second right now to Chat GPT, which I don't know, I'm like putting this to personal information now. Neutrally loves ChatGPT, but you know how much he's been loving Gemini for the work that we do? A lot, okay? Don't take this for granted this year, because it's a big year for content creators, and all this is interconnected. And what I would say, purely for the content play, you don't have to worry about these stories about Netflix or Warner Brothers and Paramount or what Gary says. Just make more YouTube videos, period. If it's shorts, it's shorts. If it's vlogs, it's vlogs. If it's long form, if it's live streams, just do it. Because I'm telling you, the YouTube machine is unique. Everybody wants to be a YouTube. It's almost impossible. They have literally a decade head start. You know what all these other platforms do? They throw billions of dollars into trying to compete, and it's just like a dent. It's like you know, like the Hulk, right? In Marvel. Like the tank shoots a missile at the Hulk and it just bounces off of it. That's YouTube. And all these other platforms trying to compete, they cannot compete right now. Now, as these other platforms grow, as like the behavior changes, but right now you got like a 2 to 3 window to kind of dominate. And if there is a seed you need to plant outside of whatever the platform is going to be for your focus, is definitely YouTube. But man, for me, of course, I'm super biased. If I'm picking the platform, I'm starting day one, I'm going all in on YouTube. because YouTube is so multifaceted and it has these weird things going on that's to its benefit that no other platform go. And guess what? YouTube used to be the king of FOMO. Now all these other platforms are the king of FOMO and they want to be a YouTube. That's something to pay attention to. And I don't know what else you need to because you know what? Another layer beyond that, you know how many TikTokers, Instagrammers, all kinds of creators are huge on those platforms, but they still want a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I mean, the crazy thing to me, and the reason I bring it up often on the show, is that it shows how valuable that back catalog is, right? You talked about these other platforms. I'm assuming you mean like TikTok, Instagram, all these other things that are spending billions of dollars trying to compete. Well, now we have a number, $111 billion for the content that Warner Brothers Discovery had. By the way, no one thought that it was that valuable. In fact, way back, all the way before Netflix offered, it was $12 a share for Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, with the Ellison bid for Paramount, it's $31 a share. That's 3x over the course of like 2 months when Warner Brothers didn't have to do anything because all anyone was doing was buying that back catalog. That's how valuable it is. $111 billion. That's the number of B's that you're offering YouTube by putting your content there. And by the way, you get to participate in the upside there, which is the crazy part. And also, like I said, I think it illuminates the competition between Netflix and YouTube. And of course, this is a show generally where we are very favorable to YouTube and what we think the future of YouTube is, which is why we made a course called Vlogging Academy. If you want to learn more about how to vlog and take advantage of this big opportunity, check it out in the show notes, vloggingacademy.com. Let's round things out here. Let's get to the segment of the show that we call the film room, where we talk about the kind of director's commentary about what's happening on our channels on YouTube, speaking of. So one of the things that you sent me actually long ago now at this point was something that you called the Costco Effect. Now, neutrally, I want you to pull this up on the screen. And Benji, can you give us some context about why you sent this to me?
All right. So Judy uploads traditional family vlogs, the old way of vlogging. But on this day, she edited a vlog and she decided to title it "These Costco Prices Are Insane." And her thumbnail has the Costco logo. Kind of looks like one of my thumbnails, okay? It's very similar to how I would title it. And it got 1 out of 10. I said the Costco Effect on Judy's channel, right? To clarify to Austin what's going on. But the reason I sent this to him, and I have this saying called the Costco Effect. Man, Costco is such a pillar type of content. It helps you get discovered by an audience that's looking for Costco content. So you get a bump. You get like almost immediate discovery if it's done right. Now, should I talk about the long-term performance of the vlog or just leave it at that for now?
Well, let's leave it at that for a second.
Yeah.
I want to explain some terms here. 1 of 10, for those of you who don't post on YouTube, that is a metric that you get on the YouTube Studio backend that shows you the performance in comparison to the last 10 videos or the 10 videos that you posted before that, right? So 1 of 10 means that it is the best performing video of the next 10 videos. Now, let's continue to explain the Costco Effect and let's come back to this afterwards.
Let's actually continue to bring that up. Can you zoom in on it neutrally a little bit? Because I actually want to show one other thing. Yeah, do that. Go up to the thumbnail, basically. 1 out of 10 usually is a reflection of, the viewership or whatnot, okay? But also it's going to be influenced by how many people click on the video. I know it's kind of fuzzy, but that thumbnail is not that good compared to the kind of thumbnail she creates. What makes it good is it's so focused on Costco and it has a Costco logo. A lot of creators do this. So the reason I bring that up is it's not even the best title. It's not even the best thumbnail, but for the Costco audience, it's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So this is the new vlog method, and she new vlogified her vlog, and that's why it got 1 out of 10. And so right now, anytime you do Costco content, it's hitting. And this next example, right, is another example of it.
Yeah, let me quickly speak about it, because what you're saying when you say the new vlog method is that in old vlogging, you kind of took your day and it was about the entire day. The phrase that you always use.
Not just our entire day, but everything.
It was everything. You went from brushing your teeth to doing whatever you were doing to the day to laying down in bed at the end of the day. The new vlog method takes one slice of your day and highlights that for the entire video, right? And so that's why you say you choose a topic or takeaway. And importantly, as we discussed at the beginning of the show, a theme for your channel, something that you talk about this whole time. Now, on your cooking channel, you've kind of gone the direction where you talk about food overall, and an common topic or takeaway, what we call a pillar topic or takeaway for your channel, is Costco. You go shopping at Costco and people really love those videos. And so what you've discovered is that Costco is a very popular topic on YouTube for people to view. Now, the reason it works for your channel, and by the way, you make thumbnails and titles that are similar to that. Here's what to buy at Costco in this month, right? With you in front of the Costco and the Costco logo at the corner. The reason it works for you is because you go and you're not brushing your teeth at the beginning. You're walking into the Costco at the beginning. It's the very first thing that you see 99% of the time on your videos. And guess what? From the moment you leave the Costco, most of the time, that's when the video ends as well. So it shows you the beginning and it shows you the end.
Super focused on a specific interest or topic, and that's it.
And so the packaging, the title and thumbnail matches what the content actually is. And what you're showing there in that graphic that you had neutrally zoom in on is Judy's packaging, kind of related to that, which makes sense to part of the video, but that wasn't what the whole video was about. And that's what you were talking about. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next person, right, that shows the example of the Costco effect.
All right, so I want to explain this for everybody. Dr. Matthew Horkey, he is a wine creator. I met him during the pandemic, and he's come to an event of mine here in Seattle, but he just doesn't even review wines. He's more like a wine enthusiast that talks about wines. I mean, to a certain degree, he will review it, but he covers all kinds of stuff. You know, he can get like 1,000 views, 4,000 views, 5,000 views, like all over the place. But he did this Costco one, show it again, neutrally, and the one that's circled, it hit. And that one right now, and I think I sent this to you like a couple days ago, 36,000 views versus one is 3,000 views. And the last one probably already hit 2,000 or 3,000 views. But obviously it's taken off.
Yeah.
He didn't even use a Costco logo, right? Actually, he used something even better, Kirkland's signature. Probably didn't even think about this, but it was on the label of the bottle. So it's still plays to those Costco fans. And one thing that's unique, and showing this again, people don't know this, but Costco is either the #1 or #2 seller of alcohol in the whole country. So their Kirkland signature wine is no joke. So Matt, when he created this video, I personally don't think, and I'm assuming this, right? Shout out to Matt. I don't think he was like, I'm going to play into the Costco niche because I want this bump. He was just like, I bet there's a lot of people drinking Costco wine, so it makes sense for me to like create this thing. I think I actually talked to him. He couldn't have known that that video would take off. For him, that's like a lot. By the way, the wine world, though it's so big, it's actually small when it comes to creators and other channels.
Really?
Huge opportunity, right? Especially because there's a lot of money involved there.
Talk to Gary Vee.
Yeah, I know, right? Isn't that kind of crazy how that just like, it just, no one ever took up the helm there. So I actually talked to him afterwards. He's like, yeah, the watch time is nuts. It's crazy. And I'm like, you need to do like 10 more of these videos, because I'm surprised he didn't do more of them. Like some of the craziest wine videos are people tasting Kirkland signature wines. Now, I'm not going to go into the details and the nuances of Kirkland signature wine at Costco, but
watch his video for that.
Yeah. But what's significant is I think a lot of people, in fact, a lot of people do this. They take advantage of the Costco bump. So you know who else did it? This is more in your space. I don't know if we have time to look it up. Linus Tech Tips.
Interesting, huh?
Did a video, and if you can pull this up, that'd be kind of crazy. He did, hey, are Costco computers really a good deal? Because when you first walk into Costco, if you're a super nerd, you go to the right and you pass by all their computers, which are great price. By the way, all right, he's pulling it up. I hear it, okay? But this video, go to the library though. I don't want to see it. I want to go to his library to compare the views, okay? He did Linus Tech Tips, to give context. I've met him. He's from Vancouver, BC. We were on a panel together. But when he did this, it was not like his normal format. It wasn't. In fact, I didn't even watch the video. He walked into a Costco. Is that what he did? The little walk and talk? Don't show the video, but it looked like he was walking into the Costco, right?
Yeah.
Okay, show me the library, though. Where is the Costco video? Oh, there to the right. Okay, look. It's gotten more views than all his others on average, okay? And look, the guy's literally holding a hot dog, and it's probably vlogified, I bet you. I think we might as well watch it. But look, he put the Costco logo in there. So Linus Tech Tips, top 3 tech guys in the world. OG. So much respect for that guy. He's like another Marquez Brownlee, okay? Great team, great business. I mean, this guy, I'm glad that I got to meet him. Let's watch this video though real quick, if you don't mind. We might have to watch ads because...
I was gonna say stand by. You're gonna have to watch an
okay,
ad real quick.
but still, the Costco bump works for a lot of people. There's lots of different bumps. The Costco one's kind of unique though, because Costco is part of our everyday lives at such a high level that I think any niche, including tech, can like do it. Okay, so look at this. I pull it up neutrally. Go to the very beginning. Go to the very beginning. Neutrally. There you go. Look at this. I've
Whoa.
never seen him do this. This is like one of my videos.
I would say it's like Benji Man TV.
He vlogified it. A little bit of B-roll, scissor roll over the intro when he's talking, so it's like a little more interesting. And by the way, I can't hear it, but I know what he's saying. He's like, we're going to take a look at the specs. We're going to compare it. We're going to,
You're gonna want the copyright.
look at that. He's getting a hot dog, right? This is the thing. Linus, I didn't talk to him about this, but if I had to guess, he saw the bump too. He's like, not the bump afterwards. He's saying like, wow, if you like have an angle. By the way, this is the new vlog method. His niche is tech, but his new pillar is Costco. Dude, he could do this once a month.
Yeah, that's
Easily
true.
do one. Because a lot of tech people now go to Costco to buy their computers. I saw a hard drive that I just bought from Amazon that's on sale there. It's cheaper there. So it's just becoming it's like we talk about the Everything app. It's like the Everything store.
I think that one of the big takeaways here too for creators is that, you know, there are things you can learn across niches, right? So for you, your channel really, I mean, first of all, started out as a food channel, but also like more and more the vlogs are 100% Costco focused. Your cooking actually has become live stuff, by the way, which is just recently in terms of the way that you've been doing it, right? But even there, right, the fact that you learned how to do the Costco thing was done by following other Costco creators, but you applied that as we talked about at the beginning, one of the planets around your sun of food and the theme of your channel for vlogging, right? And guess what? Dr. Matthew Horkey, he did the same thing for his niche in wine. Judy did it first, her niche in her sort of like vlog, old-fashioned style, right? But then also someone like Linus does it on his channel as well. And so that idea of a Costco effect isn't just about Costco. It's about the idea of taking those things that are successful that other people are doing and learning from that and applying it to your channel as well.
Yes, because you can do this with a lot of different brands. For example, I'm trying to think of one. Costco is so good. It's in its own league.
I know
its
one.
Own. What?
Apple.
Okay, yeah. So Apple would be great. So if there's anything Apple related, because the culture and community around Apple is so big, even if you're like in another niche that's not tech related, if there's some relationship, right? Like, a good example would be fitness. If you're using the Apple Watch for your fitness channel, Apple fans, Apple viewers might watch your fitness video because you're using the Apple Watch, even if they're not necessarily into fitness content, but they might want to get fit. They might want to work out, and they might want to do it. So it sounds so geeky, but they want to get fit using an Apple product. There are
Seriously,
people
though.
out there. So Costco is the same way. I would argue Costco's bigger because within the store of Costco, there's all the different products for all different niches, and it does stand in its own league. So I think it's funny when we're like, by the way, we should title this actual segment, the Costco Effect.
Yeah.
Because anybody can take advantage of it. And I don't want, like, when I'm coaching creators, I don't want it to be like the first thing I like suggest, because it's almost a cheap move, but it's a move that works.
Yeah.
So everybody, I'm trying to think like a real estate agent. Could they do it?
Oh, yeah. Easily.
They totally could.
How to furnish a home.
Staging a house.
Yeah.
How to furnish a home or whatever. And oh my God, that's so crazy. Now you can do this with literally everything. It's like, guys, that this is why Costco doesn't have to sponsor creators. Because say you're a landscaper. hey, I'm going to go into Costco. Let's see if these landscape tools are actually worth the money, or like, is it a good deal, or is it just like cheap stuff that's going to break on you? It's funny. That's going to be fun. Supplements, people, right?
Send us a couple of your themes or niches for your channel, and we'll do a whole segment on this next week. So in the comments or in the chat, send us your niche for your channel. Send us your channel, actually, and we'll take a look at it. And then I'm going to challenge Benji to Costco Effect your channel
Oh my God.
next week.
I could totally do it.
Benji, as we close out here, any final words for people? We've covered a lot of ground from Netflix losing the deal to Alysa Liu, fund maxing. What do you have to say to creators?
I'd say that right now we're in this new era that's got new rules. And even though technology like AI can be scary, it's actually the thing that you already do every single day that is your leverage point. I believe that short form came out of nowhere and created brain rot and AI slop, and that's your signal to do the opposite. So long form on YouTube, longer videos on all platforms, and live streaming. And speaking of fun maxing, it's just being yourself. It's just having fun. We enjoy when somebody is joyful in their content. I know that I'm like better on my live streams because I'm more relaxed. My blood pressure hasn't gone up. I don't want to take away from some of the stuff we've done in the past. Like if you watch it, some of that stuff got lots of views, right? Like Dan Sember, epic, raised $500,000 for charity. But man, there was a little bit of anxiety in the back of my brain because I'm thinking about all these different things. The more just relax and the more yourself you can be. And this is why live streaming is really important. But Alysa, Jack Hughes, really the best creators are just the ones that are having the most fun, because that's AI can't do that. They don't understand what that even means. Having fun means you're doing something even if you don't get paid, and there's no benefit other than just like that feeling that you get. Follow the feeling when it comes to creating your content. Even the person that we talked to this morning wasn't following their feeling. They're following this other like thought. This is more strategic. This is going to let me make more money. This is going to let me travel versus, hey, the thing that you already do every day. And what did this person say about gym content?
That they do it every day.
They do it every single day. So what do I say to them? And what do I talk about in this book? One of the most important aspects of a successful creator, consistency. So following fun is partly following the thing you would do even if you didn't get paid, which is a great source for content because you'll be able to make more and it won't feel like work. And if you combine that with like being strategic about creating the kind of content that AI can't touch right now, but eventually could catch up, then you'll have a head start. And the last thing I'd say is don't be a commodity. Don't be part of the blob of like just this big group of creators that are just being bunched up together. You want to separate yourself, and there's so many different ways to do that. So one way to do that is to subscribe to this channel, listen to these podcasts, be part of my community, follow Instagram. I have this thing called the Creator Secrets broadcast channel, and I would love to be part of your journey.
Great thanks to our sponsor, Ecamm Live, the powerful live streaming platform for Mac. You can learn more about Ecamm Live at the link in the show notes, and you get 15% off and support the show with our code BenjiTV15. As always, thanks to the students of Vlog Academy, and thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.